Joshi. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to France and is now Narendra Modi's first visit to US under the Trump administration 2.0. Now, the focus during this visit is going to be on strengthening the diplomatic ties. What we're given to understand is that the Prime Minister is going to hold bilateral meetings with Donald Trump in both the restricted and the delegation level formats. Apart from this bilateral with Donald Trump, the Prime Minister would also be interacting with business leaders and members of the Indian community during this visit. Now let's tell you about the Prime Minister's past visits to United States when Donald Trump was the president during his first term. What is going to be on display and what is to be expected? So Dostian diplomacy is going to be on display, and this is Prime Minister's visit to US under Trump administration, and this is the first term that we are talking about. June 2017. Prime Minister's official visit to United States, and the first term is what we're talking about. Then he went again in September 2019 when the Howdy Modi event was organized in Houston, Texas. And on the 13th of February now, this is the second term of Donald Trump administration 2.0, and this is Prime Minister's first visit to US under the Trump administration 2.0, where the focus is once again going to be on strengthening the diplomatic ties between both the nations.
I mean, this is a very significant meeting in the sense that Prime Minister Modi will be just the fourth world leader to meet President Trump. And we have seen world leaders jockeying for position to be able to engage with this new administration and the new president. And the fact that the Prime Minister was invited by the administration within the first few weeks of him being in power, I think that's pretty significant, and it speaks to the importance of the U.S.-India partnership. Now, it'll be a bit of an unusual meeting in the sense that these are early days for the administration. It hasn't really had an opportunity to focus on its approach to India. You also have a number of key posts within the administration focused on India that have not yet been filled. So I think that given that this is coming early on in the administration, and given that this is a working visit, not a state visit, I don't think that we're going to see significant levels of substantive dialogue leading to major deals or anything like that. But it will be an important opportunity for these two leaders who know each other very well and like each other to reassert their friendship and to talk about priorities for the coming years.
So the stage is all set for the Modi-Trump meeting, the first official visit of Prime Minister Narendra Modi to US under Trump 2.0 administration. Why does it matter and what is going to be the agenda? Let's take a look. Let's break down the details for you. As far as the defense and energy cooperation sector is concerned, India is looking to increase purchase of defense equipments. India is in the process of acquiring 31 drones from the United States. Discussion is expected on cooperation on nuclear energy. Apart from that, China is a common concern. Possible focus on counterbalancing China in Indo-Pacific. And as far as trade and tariff and focus is concerned, remember, Trump spoke about imposing reciprocal tariff. Perhaps that could be discussed. India recently reduced tariff on key US imports. That could also come up during the discussion, the bilateral talks perhaps. As far as immigration and H-1B visa is concerned, it's a very, very important issue. US recently deported 104 undocumented Indians. India expected to advocate for expanding H-1B visa. So this is primarily going to be the talking point, is what we're given to understand. Let's now go across to our senior executive editor, Madhav Das Gopalakrishnan, joining us live from DC. Thank you very much for joining us, Madhav. How's the weather over there? You look very cold. The Prime Minister's France visit is almost wrapping up. He's going to be heading to US now.
Well, absolutely, Swati. In fact, Washington, D.C. is looking like a winter wonderland. You can see the snow right behind me. It's -2 degrees and absolutely freezing over here. But this is, of course, as far as Washington is concerned. The Prime Minister's expected here by the second half of the day. He is, of course, now is the time when he is taking off from France, expected to be here in the second half. And tomorrow is when, of course, it's down to business. Of course, the two leaders will be meeting. That all-important bilateral meeting expected to take place. First, of course, there will be a meeting between the two leaders on a one-on-one basis, and then at the delegation level, where all of these issues that you rightly mentioned are areas of concern, are areas of cooperation as well, and all of them are expected to be addressed. Remember that President Trump in his second term has wasted absolutely no time in getting down to business. He knows exactly what he wants, and there are several points that he also expects from countries that United States engages in. Now, how much of that will India be in a position to accommodate? For instance, on tariffs, he has made a lot of noises, but we've seen how in the case of Canada, in the case of Mexico, he's actually put it on hold. In the case of India, no such announcements being made. India has accommodated some of those demands in the union budget as well, but how much further are we looking at in terms of what US's expectations are? Remember that this administration has made absolutely no bones about the fact that they expect FDI to be a two-way street, not just coming in from United States to India, but also from India to the United States. How that actually happens and what really are the circumstances remains to be seen. But yes, as you rightly mentioned, immigration, another area of concern as far as India is concerned. We all remember how that entire issue blew up in Parliament with opposition seeking questions from the government, particularly as far as the handling and particularly the treatment of those immigrants are concerned. So all of these are mutual areas of concern. At the same time, of course, there's an entire issue pertaining to defense and cooperation between the two countries. That only expected to continue. Remember how defense hardware is something that United States has said that expects India to make more purchases of. All of that expected to continue, and one will have to see ultimately what the big ticket announcements are that come out after this bilateral meeting.
Yes, Madhav, and like you mentioned, every time the Prime Minister goes on a visit to another country, he goes abroad, a lot of domestic politics reactions come in from the parties here in India. That's exactly what has happened. And at the moment, of course, the opposition also watching very, very closely, because Mallikarjun Kharge, the Congress president, earlier tweeted that the Prime Minister should talk about tariff. He should talk about the treatment that is meted out to our immigrants, and perhaps speak to Donald Trump about how in the future, when they are deported back to India, perhaps the treatment can be a little different. I'm not saying that impacts the kind of talks that are happening between two nations, but these are very, very important issues.
Well, absolutely. In fact, these are issues, and of course, the larger issue is this. Remember that when it comes to the two countries, there are areas of strategic cooperation, there are areas of mutual interest, and it is, of course, in the United States' interest as far as India is concerned, given, of course, the growing influence of China as far as manufacturing and as far as the larger strategic issues are concerned in the entire Indo-Pacific region. So clearly, that has not changed. That is an area where the two countries obviously enjoy a lot of mutual concerns, and those of course are expected to be the areas that the two countries can potentially build on. But having said that, the areas of concern of the two sides, how best they can be addressed, how best they can be looked at, because remember, these are issues which are domestically very important in both countries as well. So how the two leaders are able to sit together and work out what the possible roadmap is, that's something that we're going to have to watch out for.
Absolutely. And the common concern, China, remains to be seen how that is going to come up during the discussion. Madhav, thank you for getting us all those details. We're moving on now and shifting our focus to the Ranveer Allahabadia